I'm not Musa Adnan. I'm Musin Mastan. That's Andras Bيداغين. You're watching Rerouted, and this is what we have coming up next.
I did the Shahada without knowing any Muslim in person. I had never seen any Muslim in person in Uruguay. They still know.
Wait.
Yeah.
So you never ever met a Muslim in your whole life?
Yeah, before accepting Islam.
Before you accepted Islam.
Yeah.
So you was about to step into something unknown. Like, this is amazing. So your family actually killed Muslims, and your family crest, the design of it is
One of them killing a Muslim with a spear.
so a conquistador, is it?
Yeah, conquistador usually were for Latin America, but one of them in an
Actually killing a Muslim, and that was your family crest.
Yeah, it still is.
So I'm quite excited. We've got a bit of a story here. So how do you go from that background to being not just a Muslim but a da'i? What was the reaction? What kind of reaction did you receive from the people of Latin America when you're giving da'wah? Was it were they confrontational? Was it harsh? Was it welcoming?
Yeah, welcoming, yes. They don't know really anything about Islam, and this is one of the special things about Latin America. They don't have any prejudice against Islam. They are very open. I was in Cusco in Peru as well for over an hour doing dawah in a market, and I didn't find even one person who had heard about Islam before. None of them had heard about Islam.
SubhanAllah.
So we are the first people that are bringing the message to them.
First of all, I want to apologize that we don't have Musa on the show today hosting it. It's me. You're going to have to make do with that, unfortunately. Or fortunately, we'll see. Andreas.
Yes.
You're a bit of an anomaly.
Why?
Do you want to know why I say that?
Why?
Okay, so tell me the story about your family crest when you was living in
Uruguay. Yes. I have a Basque background. Basque is a nation in between France and Spain. And in the Middle Ages, and even before that, the families used to have a crest. And the symbol of my family is one of them, or you could say one Basque person of Bídاغين killing a Muslim.
Wait. What?
Yeah, the thing is, the Muslims conquered most of Spain, but they never conquered the Basque region. So, and from there started as well the what some people call the Reconquista. Some people debate that it said they never happened, but well, my family centuries ago was proud of killing Muslims. Yeah.
So your family actually killed Muslims, and your family crest, the design of it is
one of them killing a Muslim with a spear.
So a conquistador, is it?
Yeah, conquistador usually were for Latin America, but one of them in an
actually killing a Muslim, and that was your family crest.
Yeah, it still is.
So I'm quite excited. We've got a bit of a story here. So how do you go from that background to being not just a Muslim but a da'i, right?
Yeah.
You've been to how many countries so far? Doing dawah?
In Latin America, maybe 7, 8, or something like this.
MashaAllah. Okay, so who is Andreas?
When I'm from Uruguay, I think you mentioned, or I mentioned, I was baptized when I was a baby, even though I grew up being agnostic. I never believed in the Trinity, was never a Christian. And how did I come to Islam? When I was 16, 17, I remember I was already looking for the truth. And I was in high school, but I already started thinking about, I didn't want to be like most of the people, which to me seemed like they would just follow everyone else. So life would be to study or work, to eat, go to the toilet, have some fun, read, repeat forever. So I was looking to some other meaning. If it had, I was open to life not having any meaning at all. and asking myself questions. If I want to be successful, and what does successful mean?
That's a good question. So you were redefining what success means for you, because
yeah.
a lot of people in the modern world, success means having a flashy car, a big, a job that pays you lots of money, a big house, 3-4 holidays a year, and a trophy girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, did you have that definition of success before, and then you learned to change it? What happened? Take me through this journey.
Yeah. I think many of us have a bit of a mixture, because society says that is success, or on the other hand we have filter inside us, so we know there's some things that are right, some things that are wrong, and we cannot really I was thinking, can I really achieve success or happiness for me doing things that are wrong, and is there really something that is really right and something or something that is really wrong? So I was already looking into these things, and once I remember I read a book on the Crusades, just for general knowledge. And I got to read about a sect called the Hashashiyin. The assassins come from
the assassins.
Yeah.
Okay.
From this word, they used to.
This is interesting.
Yeah. They used to consume hashish, and they would drug themselves, and then they were told if they died fighting, they would go to paradise. And I read they were very good fighters. So I wanted to learn more about them. I did some Google search. Yeah.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
So you come from a background of, if you like, conquistadors. I know you said that they only sort of attacked Latin America, but I'm going to call them conquistadors because I don't know the proper term. I do apologize for that, everybody. How do you go from learning about your family history to the history of the opposition, if you like? What fascinated you about the assassins?
It seemed quite crazy to me that first they consume hashish, and then whatever they see in their dreams, they think that is paradise, and that they are very good fighters. I thought, this seems quite strange, so let's know more. Let's find out more about them.
And where did that journey take you? What happened next?
I did some search. I don't remember right now if it was Google or maybe at that time Alta Vista or whatever it was at that time.
Okay. You're going way back.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is about maybe 10 years ago?
Yeah, more than 10
years ago. More than 10 years ago.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. And I found an Islamic website. That's the only place where I think that word was written, maybe at that time. There were less websites at that time. So I found a Muslim community, and I started asking questions, watching documentaries, reading, even arguing with them. I bought the translation of the Quran into Spanish in my country. I think it was translated by a Christian, but that's all I had.
Okay.
And I would read the Quran, and everything made sense to me. And I would change. Whenever I said Jannah, I would think of myself being okay with me, like being with peace of mind. Whenever I said Nar or Jahannam or Hellfire, I would take it as remorse, being repentful. Like,
so would you actually feel these things? You would feel like when the good things were mentioned, you felt a kind of joy, and when the bad things like the nar, the fire, Jahannam, the punishments of the grave, you said, or the punishments of the hellfire, when these sort of things are mentioned, you felt fear?
Yes. I really liked that it was really direct. I had read parts of the Bible, but without disrespecting the Bible, but to me it was a bit boring, like a history book. However, the Quran was very direct, and it speaks directly to the reader. So I really liked it. Yeah. Okay.
So you make a distinction between the Bible. I assume you're talking about the New Testament.
Yeah.
And the Quran itself, in that the Quran speaks directly to the soul,
yeah,
whereas the Bible feels like it's being read in third person.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah?
And
so you have this distant connection. You can't really connect with the Bible, you're saying, right?
Yes. So it says the family of this one, and starts talking about this one, and the son of this, and the son of that, and the son of that. It's a bit more like history, while the Quran is really talking to you and telling you, if you do this, you get this. If you do that, you get. It's really about the reader itself. It's a direct message to the reader.
Wow.
So I really enjoyed it.
So what happened? Where did you started reading the Quran? Next. You start to get these feelings of, wow, this book, I didn't expect it to be so profound, to have such a impact on me. What happens next?
Yeah, I read even more books about hadith, asked questions. The first thing I remember I liked is it seemed that like Islamic law made sense to me, even though I had to overcome some obstacles. For example, the hijab, we're not used to things like
So
like
the culture, so the things that would affect the culture itself of your nation, you found to be slightly problematic, but you still read the Islamic law, the Sharia.
Yeah. Yes. For example, I wasn't used to many of the things. So at the beginning, for Latin Americans, maybe the hijab seems a bit strange because when we've never seen anyone wearing it, and we grew up in a different way. However, it seemed to me, or I used to think that if there was any community that were to follow the you can say Islamic law or teachings of the Quran, there wouldn't be any problem in this community. So I really like the difference between that and the ideas I grew up with that focus more on individual freedom on top of anything else, while this was more about the community in itself. And then the second step was believing in Allah. I realized, or I acknowledged, that I was making excuses to not to believe in Allah. I say, okay, but maybe there's a chance and all these things. While if I was being so skeptic about this that really, if I was thinking, if there is no God and the universe came out of nothing for no reason, it just came, and then we could say appeared or evolved or anything here, there is no reason for me not to say that there's no chance of now the world disappearing, or me walking and a hole appearing in the floor and me just falling there, while I wasn't living that way. So my actions didn't go along with what I was believing, and in the end I realized that that's the obvious answer. Allah created everything.
That's very powerful. How did it feel to read the Quran?
Well,
I know you've already said that, when you read the Quran, when Allah mentions in the Quran about the punishments and about the rewards, you felt like it spoke to you directly. But how did it feel to actually look at a text that because I'm assuming now that you feel like this book is from God. Yeah. And you're being drawn towards it. Yeah. How does that feel for a first timer? I'm a born Muslim, right? So I took that for granted until I started to appreciate it little by little. But for you, it must have been quite a shock to have this, this surge of new feelings. How does that feel?
It's a mix of different things, because it's very direct, and it gave me the idea of really moral truth, something that is real right, something that is wrong, responsibility as well, and at the same time imagining the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba. So imagining how they used to live. So it's amazing. I read the whole Quran, and for me it was very easy, and so it was a shock later to me to finding many Muslims that say, no, I read they read a few pages but then I read the whole Quran. Yeah.
Right. So tell me then, Andreas, how do you get from reading the Quran, finding it to be the truth, to taking your shahada? What's the journey between these 2 points? Reading the Quran, taking your shahada. How does that happen?
There were lots of this. It wasn't from one day to another. It was a few months, me going online every day. I did the shahada without knowing any Muslim in person. I had never seen any Muslim in person in Uruguay. There's still no...
Wait. Yeah. So you never ever met a Muslim in your whole life?
Yeah, before accepting Islam.
Before you accepted Islam.
Yeah.
So you was about to step into something unknown. Like, this is amazing. This is really something, right? You're about to step into a new experience, a new way of life, and you don't even have any, working examples to go with, because you don't see anybody, right?
Exactly.
You don't know any Muslims.
Yeah.
And your contact with Muslims is just purely online.
Yeah.
And am I right in assuming that the Muslims that you was in contact with were the same Muslims you were trying to debunk before, and now you're coming around to seeing it their way?
Yes. And
wow, that's amazing.
At the beginning, when I started visiting the website, it was more about to know about the religion, but I had some arrogance in me, and I was also trying to see what the weak point of fault is. So I was trying to debating and trying to make them see that they were in the wrong path. Let's say, yes. What did you?
So how do you get to take your shahada? What happened? Take me through that whole journey of taking your shahada.
Yeah, and my examples or leaders were the Sahaba, because that's what I had read. So I really didn't know any Muslim neighbor, co-worker, anything. These were my leaders. That's what I was aspiring to follow.
Subhanallah.
And this I kept reading, asking. Everything I asked was being answered. I must have read between maybe 10 books before I accepted Islam. It was every single day, and as I said, it was online because there's no other resource.
So you done your shahada online?
Yes. One day I told this sister from the UK, from Manchester, but I don't know anything. I know much about her. I said, okay, now I'm ready. She's the one who had answered most of my questions.
Okay.
So I said, I'm ready to do the shahada, and as you know, there aren't any Muslims here. I don't know any. So what can I do? And she said, okay, then you need to say this thing, the shahada, and this is the meaning in English. Can you please say it in Arabic and English? And that's what I did. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. How did it feel when you took your shahada? How did it feel?
Well, it was a complete. That's what it takes long, or it took long for me, because, as you said, it's a complete change in my life and something completely unknown. I didn't have any Muslim friends, or I didn't know anyone. So even the first, it was I think at night that I said it. I immediately did ghusl, because I was told I had to do ghusl, and then I went to pray. And I think it was the first time in my life that I did a prayer. Maybe dua, I had done it, even though I was agnostic. But when I was like in really in trouble or pain, let's say a big stomach ache, I would say like, please God, if you exist, please help me, and I will be kind, or something like this. So I remember I had made some dua in harsh moments. But this was the first time I made sujood, and it felt excellent.
You did a sujood the first time. Tell me about that. Where was that?
It was in my room. Okay. My family still didn't know about Islam, and I think it would be a complete shock for someone from a society so far away from Muslim lands, and as you said, with the family history. Even though now we don't really care about what happened in Spain. Yeah. To say I became a Muslim, even me, that I was usually a bit not aggressive, but I didn't like the religious missionaries, so I would sometimes laugh at them and things like this. So to become from that to become a Muslim,
a religious missionary in your own right now, aren't you?
Yeah,
so the thing you used to mock, you've become yourself, albeit for a different religion, the right religion. Alhamdulillah. That's very interesting. That irony and nuance, man. I love it. Okay, so your experiences, you became a Muslim, okay, and that was over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
How do you go from being a Muslim 10 years ago and educating yourself in Islam? Because I know you've traveled a bit to learn your Islam. Yes. I think you even did a Hajj as well.
Yeah, a few.
Tell me about these experiences. So how did this happen for you?
From that time that I accepted Islam, I remember, and yes, there is a big difference. I remember I had read online that we had to pray, or we had 5 prayers in specific periods of time. And I said, why? And I said, because all Muslims pray at the same time. So for the first, I think, 2 weeks I was a Muslim, I thought we had to pray exactly at the same minute that the Islamic Finder or any other, the prayer time started. So I remember I would call a number, I think it's 16, that tells you it's an operator machine saying now it's 3 hours 55 minutes 50 seconds, 3 hours 55 minutes 55 seconds. So I would wait until 56, if that was the beginning of Asr, and I would hang up and start praying. Same thing for Maghrib.
On the dot.
On the dot, yes. For like 2 weeks, so I had to miss.
That's cute. That's a really cute story, man.
I had
MashaAllah, may Allah bless you.
Yeah, I had to miss classes at uni, and because I thought it had to be at the same minute. Then when I found out online that we had a period, I thought, that's so easy. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. And from there, then I went to a mosque in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, the biggest mosque in Latin America, just to get to see a mosque, because there weren't any in my country. And alhamdulillah, I was invited to do Hajj as a guest of the King of Saudi Arabia. I accepted, of course. And I was, at that time, I was already looking to study abroad, because I had read everything available in Spanish at that time, and I really wanted to know more. So I did Hajj, and then I had an interview at Medina University, the Islamic University. Alhamdulillah, I was accepted a few months later.
How long ago was this?
This was maybe 7 years ago.
7 years ago, okay.
Yeah.
And how long did you study in Medina for?
For around 6, a bit more than 6 years, yeah.
Okay, so I take it you speak Arabic quite well.
Yeah, okay, I understand. I can speak, yeah.
And you can speak as well if you,
Yeah.
because you obviously lived there for quite a few number of years.
Yes.
Okay, so from Medina, what happens next?
From Medina, in Medina, I got to know Brother Sabur and Hamza and Andreas Sources. They went there to train many of the Western students in Dawah and atheism, Christianity.
So you met our CEO, Hamza Andreas Sources,
Yes.
and Sabur Ahmed,
Yes.
in Medina.
In Medina, yes. I met them in Medina.
There's a story here, I can tell.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes. So they thought it would be. I mean, the Medina students, they usually go back to their countries, do dawah, and they have certain influence in the Muslim community. It was a good idea to train them or us in dawah to keep promoting dawah. And I saw it as a golden opportunity as well. Whoever in Saudi Arabia or in Arab countries, usually Latin America is called the forgotten continent, or al-Qaratul Mansiya, because everyone hears about dawah in Africa, Asia, Europe, North America, but I'm sure most of our viewers don't know anything about the dawah in Latin America. So I asked him many times, when can you go to Uruguay? When can you go to the Latin America? We want the same thing, but if it's not possible in Spanish, at least I can translate. And I felt that he was quite busy. Or maybe I think now I know Aira maybe at that time didn't have the resources to do all these things. So he asked everyone to, after the course, to write down what actions were we going to take based on what we had learned. And I remember I wrote, I want to force Sabur to go to Uruguay. and he really liked that. So he saved that
Hearing that, I really like that. That's cheeky but good. I like it. So
yeah, it did work, because then I met him again in the UK. We met in Speaker's Corner, and we kept a relationship. And I came to the office during Ramadan one day, and he still had kept the paper I had wrote with the I want to force Sabur to go to Uruguay. And he said, can you please come with us to South America to do dawah? I said, well, of course, whenever you're going, I'm ready as well. And last December, alhamdulillah, I traveled with Sabur to 5 different countries in Latin America, including Uruguay.
December 2018.
In 2018.
So literally just coming up to about a year ago.
Yes.
Subhanallah. 8 months ago, 9 months ago, I think, right? 8 or 9, 10 months ago, something like that. That's amazing. Yeah. And that started your journey, your foray into doing dawah full time.
Yes. Exactly. I had done some dawah activities in Uruguay, from Saudi as well, online, but not full time, and not at the level that we do here in Aira. So now I work with Latin America. We have around 10 full-time outreach specialists in Latin America, and I already think we are the biggest dawah organization in Latin America. It's not maybe because we are doing a superb job. We are doing excellent job, but it's also because no one is really doing anything in Latin America. So we are filling that gap, and alhamdulillah, I've seen in the trips amazing work. Alhamdulillah.
Do you have an interesting story to share from your experiences in Latin America?
Well, I liked the last trip was to Peru and Bolivia. In Peru, we visited the Amazon rainforest, and we started building the first mosque in the Peruvian Amazon. There's a new Muslim community of native Peruvians there that has grown now over 30 new Muslims.
Wow.
So we went there to start building the mosque. And to teach them as well how to pray, how to make wudu, to learn more about the belief, because they're quite new. Then we went, and that's a special place. I mean, the Amazon, their houses don't have electricity, don't have windows. If you want to go to a toilet at night, like I had to do, I mean, the toilet is wherever you find over there at night. You can't see anything, and you know that there's snakes over there. There's so many mosquitoes. I think after 2-3 days, I couldn't close my hand for maybe 3-4 days because how many mosquito bites I had in my hand. Yeah.
So your hand is swollen up from mosquito bites?
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
yes,
That's crazy. What was the reaction? What kind of reaction did you receive from the people of Latin America when you're giving dawah? Was it were they confrontational? Was it harsh? Was it welcoming?
Yeah, welcoming. Yes. They don't know really anything about Islam, and this is one of the special things about Latin America. They don't have any prejudice against Islam. I mean, in some countries, of course, they have media, so they listen to things. But they are very open. I was in Cusco in Peru as well for over an hour doing dawah with our other specialist there, Omar, in a market. And I didn't find even one person who had heard about Islam before. None of them had heard about Islam.
SubhanAllah.
So we are the first people that bring the message to them. And other countries, like in after that, we went to La Paz in Bolivia, the highest capital city in the world. There,
highest levitation.
Yes.
Elevation is a bit out there. Elevation. Apologize.
So there's low oxygen. I remember talking for 10 minutes to a man, and I started feeling a bit
dizzy?
tired. Yes, that I lacked some oxygen, but I said, I'm just talking. I mean, it's just me. I'm not running. When he left, I had to kneel on the floor because I couldn't really do anything else.
Knocked the wind out of you, did it? He was lost for words, not just lost for words, but I think he was lost for breath.
Yes.
SubhanAllah.
La Paz was really hard, but it was excellent to see Yusuf, our other specialist there, talking to people, and there were maybe 10 people around him. Maybe in countries here like the UK, you need to make an effort to make someone stop and really establish a conversation with them. But there, you just bring the message of Islam, and people listen to you, and they hear, and they're welcome, and the communities are growing, alhamdulillah.
SubhanAllah. So Andreas, what's your vision for the future? When you're doing dawah, how do you see things going now?
Well, alhamdulillah, we are growing a lot in Latin America. The vision in Nigeria is a world reconnected to God, and I see the same thing for Latin America as well. We want to get the message of Islam to every single house in Latin America.
Amen to that.
And it is happening slowly, but we're getting there. Like this community in La Paz in Bolivia is almost all of them are new Muslims. And they are now doing dawah themselves. There's a volunteer team of maybe 10 that I went out with doing dawah. And they welcome the non-Muslims to the Jesus exhibition that we hold there. Rafael in Mexico, last month he had to marry one of the new Muslims that accepted Islam with him, with another new Muslim sister. So it is growing. Soon we'll see the babies of the new Muslims. So
there'll be a new generation of Muslims.
Alhamdulillah.
That's amazing. Okay, my final question to you, Andreas. If you could say anything to Muslims today regarding the work that we do, what would you say?
It's I haven't seen any other. I've known dawah organizations because I lived in Saudi for a while. I haven't seen any like this one. Not only from for example, our reinvestment policy, which is quite transparent, strict, tough, whatever you say, meaning we make sure money is spent only when it is completely justified and only for what is needed for the dawah. But the amount of work we do, the how fast we are expanding in so many countries, how many new last month we had over 1,000 shahadas in the whole world, not just in Latin America. So I think if they don't want to miss from these rewards, if they can help us in any way, even if it's making dua, I mean, in any way, I would like to for all of us to share in the reward. I'm not saying I'm being rewarded. I hope may Allah accept these deeds and make me sincere. But I hope we can all work together.
Andreas, It's been an absolute pleasure, my brother.
Thank you.
I loved having you on today. I hope I've been a good host.
Excellent.
And we hope to have you on again, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Guys, if you don't know already, we are on all the regular we're on all the regular podcast platforms. You can download our podcast on Google Podcasts, on Apple Podcasts, on SoundCloud, etc. All the links you'll find below. And if you don't find them below, then click on the description. Okay? And that's it. I guess this is it. This is Rerouted. And we'll see you next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.